Greg, how did you beat Mr. Wallace by jumping so high?
Well, guys, it's all about the Jordan shoes. These Jordan 6 rings came out not too long ago, $185, and in the sole of their shoe, it has springs that make you jump, higher than the average individual. Jordan designed these shoes as a purpose for all basketball players, so they can get a better look out on the court, possibly some scouts. The shoes do run as a high price, but they're worth it. They obviously, you can see I beat Mr. Wallace. Out-jumped him many times, and the shoes are definitely worth it. I really consider, grabbing a pair. Again, you might, you could possibly wait a few months or a few weeks until the price might drop down. But then again, the quality might not be as good because, the newer shoes are the better ones because they like to have, more people interested in buying them. And, to wrap it up, again, these are the Jordan 6 rings. They came out about a good 2 weeks ago, and definitely worth the price.
Go. Alright, one of the movies we had to watch for our Sports and Society course for our final was we watched the movie Cool Runnings, which is about a Jamaican bobsleighing team. There was a guy named Irving Blitzer who was in the Olympics before and got a gold medal, but got it revoked due to cheating by putting weights in the front of his bobsled to make it go faster. There was current day there were some Jamaican sprinters that wanted a different sport because they got disqualified in a sprint race because there was a tripping accident. So they decided to go try out and make a Jamaican bobsled team. A lot of people laughed at him because they didn't think it was going to work, and they thought they were all kidding and wouldn't take it seriously.
But eventually, Irving was convinced to go along with the bobsled team from Jamaica. They practiced and practiced and practiced, and they finally got their technique down. And they qualified for the Olympics. When they got to the Olympics, they were heavily scrutinized by the other bobsled teams because they were from Jamaica, and Jamaica is a tropical island, as you may know. And
there's no ice.
Yeah, there's no ice. And people thought they were a joke. But after their nervous breakdown in one of their trial runs, they proved their haters wrong by qualifying at a very good time.
Katie?
Well, the Cool Runnings is basically about a Jamaican bobsled team, and they face a lot of challenges because they're pretty much from a southern climate, and they don't really have any snow there, so, yeah. But they do kind of well, and, yeah.
And this ties into our sports and society class because throughout the course we learned a lot about sports, cheating, and discriminating, and, etc. And I thought this was a really meaningful movie because it really did bring out the emphasis on, on sports. What is a sport? Who does a sport, and why shouldn't all be able to do the sport? And I thought it was a really good movie, and it meant a lot to the group because we all got a kick out of it, and we also learned some stuff and tied it back into our sports and society course and what we learned.
This also relates because when they were trying to qualify for the Olympics, one of the chairmen for bobsledding disqualified the Jamaicans because of their color of their skin and because he thought they were a joke. But eventually they overcame this racial tension, and the Jamaicans were allowed to compete.
And I'd like to tie it back into our sports and society debates. I personally had Native American mascots as a topic, and being Native American isn't easy, I guess, in our country, especially with the sports we have. In Major League Baseball, they have many teams like the Indians, just names that people can find offensive. And a thing I like to point out is when I was researching the report, there's a great successful baseball player, Omar Valdez, who just wrote an article on what his opinion was on the Native American mascots and the racism that was never ending basically in the Major League Baseball. He said, "How would you feel to be discriminated and made fun of on a daily basis?" He said, "These people paint their faces, wear mohawks, and have swords, and to mock the tribes, and basically." Just being that I'm a different ethnicity, I tied it in just to feel how I would feel if I were at a place and I was being mocked or discriminated on my color and my culture. And, I just felt that throughout this debate, I learned a lot, and I really learned how to respect every culture and, to put myself in other cultures' shoes, just to know that no one has it easy and that we can all get along as long as you're not judgmental and stereotypical. And I'd like to pass it on to some of my group members.
My debate was on drug use in high school. It talked about how a lot of high schoolers use anabolic steroids just to get bigger. A lot of athletes in high school look up to pro athletes, and many of the pro athletes do use steroids. Some get caught, some don't. But they use them to get bigger, stronger, and have more energy. But they really don't, the high schoolers that do use it, they don't realize the long-time terms, which can be liver and kidney failures. And it's not going to help you out through your life. It gives you heart problems as well. And kids just need to realize that you don't need drugs or performance enhancements to help you play a sport. You play because you want to have fun and you're good at it. It depends on your skill, not your ability after taking drugs.
I also researched Native American mascots and how they're offensive to the Native American culture. Through my research, I discovered that Native Americans have been asked this question over and over again, and they have found out that these names, such as the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians, as Greg said, are extremely offensive to their culture. And over time, the Native Americans have been picked on since the day the Europeans arrived in our beautiful country.
My debate was on Title IX, and Title IX really paved the way for women's sports. And just like how Title IX paved the way for women's sports, the Jamaicans paved the way for their team and their country, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is.
And to tie it up, I'd just like to say again that I'd personally like to thank you, Mr. Wallace, for giving us the privilege of doing these debates, because it really is educating to know about all the different kind of controversy in sports in our society. And I'd like to wrap things up with a conclusion.
Good job being Greg. Good job being Greg in basketball, Mr. Wallace.
And as a result, in conclusion, we just like to send our thanks out to all that watched this video and congratulated us on the well success of the class and the education we've come up.
We would also like to thank Mr. Hagan for giving us his time and recording us through our video.
Also, we'd like to thank Mr. Wallace for teaching us such valuable information and things we will learn that we will need for the rest of our lives.
I want to thank everyone that watches this video, and Mr. Hagan and Ms. Wallace. Peace.
Thanks.